Good evening, everyone. And since I'm making the last presentation of the night, I'll try to keep it short. I'm introducing the team award tonight, and the team award goes to the Port Huron Junior Flags. Port Huron Junior Flags were an instrumental part of hockey in this town. A few years before that, the Port Huron Pro team had disbanded, as well as our junior B team at the time, the Fog Cutters. So there was a real void in the upper levels of hockey in this town. Well, the Port Huron Junior Flags joined the Great Lakes Junior B Hockey League as an expansion franchise in 1981, joining established teams such as Paddock, Pools, Fraser, St. Clair Shores, Westland, and Flint. In 2 years, the Flags became the class of the league, winning back-to-back championships. All but one of the players on the Flags roster were a Port Huron Minor Hockey Association graduate. The Flags were led by Coach Lloyd Maxfield and General Manager Ted Curtis, and they vetoed the league because the league wanted them to go to a draft like all the other teams went. Instead, they said, no way, we got the talent here. We're going to put our team together with nothing but local Port Huron minor hockey players. The 82-83 Flags team was nearly unbeatable, losing just one league game all season. The Flags were dominant, finishing in first place with 56 points, 14 more than the second place rival Fraser. The Flags had a 29-game winning streak without a loss, their only league loss of the season. The Flags boasted 5 of the top 10 scorers in the league, led by co-captain and league MVP Bill Howe's 68 points, and John Hayward's team-high 31 goals. The Flags scored 243 goals, 51 more than the second most team. The league allowed a league low 126 goals, led by goalies John Backman and Scott Elbert, who were also the top 2 goalies in the league. The Flags swept the playoffs to earn their second straight trip to the national tournament in St. Louis. And I can remember sitting by the radio listening to, I believe it was Hal Moss, traveled to St. Louis with them doing the play-by-play, which was kind of cool. They went on to lose the championship game to NHL former goaltender, who ended up being a Hall of Fame NHL goaltender, Mike Richter, who played for the New York Rangers for many years. He at that time played for the Philadelphia Junior Flyers. 8 players from that Flags team went on to play college hockey or the top junior A leagues in North America, the United States Hockey League, including Todd Lawson and Dan Wilhill. Tonight, to accept the award on behalf of the Port Huron Flags is Coach Lloyd Maxfield, a legend in this town in its own, and Bill Howe, the co-captain. Congratulations.
Well, you're right about that. We're last and we're not going to hold you up. Just got one thing I got to do. I didn't know about this. I didn't prepare a speech, but I'm usually not at a loss for words. But the first thing I got to do is take that roll of paper away from Bill Huff. I don't know what he prepared. I didn't know he was coming on. But we may have to pull the microphone on him. I'd like to congratulate everybody into the Hall of Fame, and Mr. Bates and Dr. Bates, I enjoyed your talk very, very much, and enjoyed your father, and appreciated him for many years. My condolences to you and your family. Josh, one thing I was very happy about when you gave your speech, especially after the lady gave hers, that you were not in the hurdles. That probably saved a lot of lives. I'd like to thank the players from the team, almost the entire team that showed up here tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. They were one of the greatest group of athletes that I had the pleasure of playing with, coaching with, or being around. I'd like to give special thanks to one of my favorite families from Port Huron, and that's the Jones family, and Paul, and Carol. Got into a little trouble tonight when I told Carol she was my favorite lady on the team. There's a couple other ladies who were a little upset with me, but thank you to the Jones family. We went through a lot of years together, from the Jones boys that you talked about, and the Jayhawks that you got just a little bit sick of listening to, and all you heard was Jayhawks, and you know, here we were, those other, what do they call that, Spartans down here, and so we had some good conversations with them. I'd like to thank a couple of my own boys who were on that team for coming here tonight. My son Tim, who came from Kentucky to get here, and my son Rich and his wife, who came all the way from a little island in the Caribbean called Barbados. So that was an all-day plane ride, believe me, and thanks to them. And all you other guys, including this guy back here with that long list.
It's short. It's short.
It's short. He says it's short, so I'll take the plug with me. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame for inducting us into this class. This is a great honor. I'd particularly like to thank Scott Albert and where is he, Mr. This is terrible when you start forgetting names up here. Paul McDonald for doing all of the preparation work, and his wife that did some more work for him in getting us inducted into this great special class. It's a great honor for me. Fortunately, it's my second time here, and they get better, and I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you to everybody. Now to the captain, Billy Howe. I got the plug.
It will be much shorter because everybody kind of stole my thunder with all this. This is when you got two speakers, they kind of do the same thing. But first, I want to say I appreciate everybody who's up on this podium. I love hearing all the stories and all the backgrounds. Everybody, we might have played different sports, we might have done different things, but I think all our struggles were the same, and we all tried to achieve the same thing. So, congratulations to everybody that's up here. Thank you again to the Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Jim Weimer. I called him Mr. Weimer when I walked in because he was always Mr. Weimer to me growing up. He just finally let me call him Jim today, so thank you for that. Scotty Albert, who's kind of a bulldog on this. We appreciate all your efforts for getting us up here today and doing this, because this is very important to us. Thank you to Mr. Ted Curtis, the late Morris Snyder, Lloyd Maxfield, Ron McKinch, a few of the people behind the scenes who got us on the ice to start with. Also, thank you to the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association. I wish I knew how many hours I spent in this building growing up. I think this is my second home. Got some people out here in the back. Mr. Rich McDonald, one of my coaches when I was much, much younger. Thank you to the Jones family. These are some of the people that made minor hockey what it was in Port Huron. Made me keep coming back year after year. I want to talk real quick, and Mr. Maxfield didn't do this, but I want to talk about, we had two men behind our bench. The first man, right down here, Mr. Brian Timington, came across the bridge every day from Sarnia to help out with the flags. He did everything. I have a list of his duties. He was the goalie coach, the conditioning coach, and then I just did a do everything that was needed coach. And we were 17, 18, and 19-year-olds, so we need a lot of stuff. And those of you who had kids, you know, we can't find anything, we don't know where we're supposed to be, we don't know what time. Brian took care of everything. So thank you, Brian, we appreciate it. Second man that you just heard from, Mr. Lloyd Maxfield. I'd like to talk about him just a little bit more here in just a minute. But I believe as a man, he was a man's man, and as a coach, he was kind of unparalleled. I learned so much from this guy. It's unbelievable. Some of the things this team accomplished, It did. It was many years, not many years, but 2 years in the making. I have to tell you one story, and this is, I think it's true. I think teams, and those of you who played on teams, you take on your personality of your coach sometimes, right? I want to tell you a little story about the year before this team played. They have an annual banquet for the Great Lakes Junior League, and Coach Maxfield got to go down and got to give a little speech in front of all the other coaches and GMs. And at the time, it was just before the playoffs were going to begin. We were sitting in third place going into the playoffs. But Mr. Maxfield stepped up and he said, "Thank you for having us here, and the Port Huron Flags are going to be honored to represent you as state champs at the national tournament in St. Louis." It was a stunned silence in the room. The audacity of a first-year team to think that they could do what we were about to do. Well, we kind of put a target on our back, and I think we just wrote it out. We won our first state championship that year, and then that's brought us into this year here. We had that target on our back, but we kept following this man, and I call it a brash confidence, because I think we had that every time we played. I think we believed every time we hit the ice we would win, because we had the best guy behind the bench. I won't go over all our accomplishments. We had some pretty significant ones. But just thinking about what we did as a team is unbelievable. And if I could have just for a minute, everybody who's here tonight from this team, if you could just stand up. It's hard to tell, they're all intermixed, but I appreciate everybody on this team. This is probably my best year of hockey with this group right here. I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. I told you this quick. I'm going through my cards. One thing I think Coach Maxfield did for us, he made us hockey players. I don't think he always knew he was doing it, but I think he taught us how to be hockey players. There was times he coached. There was times he yelled. There was times he joked. But the whole time he taught us to be hockey players. There's things, I'm lucky enough, I have 2 boys, I live in Minnesota, and I coached both of their teams. There's still things I coached them, they're a little bit younger than I was, that he taught me growing up playing for him. The one thing I haven't done, and I got to ask him, what's the proper age to do the table flip in the locker room? I don't know that yet. Or the language that he can use, the proper language. You always knew where you stood with Coach. I was lucky enough, I didn't just play hockey for Coach Maxfield, I was also, along with his 2 sons, Rich and Tim, lucky enough to work for him out at the Port Huron Golf Club. I don't think he, at that age, I don't think he realized that I was actually listening to him and watching what he was doing and learning from him. But it's kind of a surreal moment here, because I don't know if any of you have ever had the opportunity to have somebody be a mentor in your life, or somebody that you look up or who taught you something, and you think, when am I ever going to get to say thank you? For me, this is it. Excuse me. My parents had moved to Phoenix, and I was stayed here so I could play hockey for this man. And I worked with him on the golf course. I learned so much, and I just want to say thank you. Again, I just want to congratulate my teammates, because without you, I wouldn't be able to stand here, and without you, we wouldn't be going into the Hall of Fame. You were all deserving it. Thank you so much, and thank you to the Hall of Fame. And I think I'm done. Thank you very much.